So hello everyone, my name is Yilun, the co-founder and CTO of NKN, short for New Kind of Network. So today I'm going to give you a brief introduction of what NKN does, what you can do with NKN, and our current status. So if you're trying to build application today, there are three essential resources that you might need: the compute, the storage, and the network. So there are quite a few projects they focus on the storage part, but NKN is purely focusing on the network part by providing a decentralized network as a service. So this network is a large market already and ready for quite many players. So we launched our mainnet a year ago. After 1 year of growth, we now have over 20,000 full nodes globally. So those are all full consensus nodes participating in consensus, store a copy of ledger, relaying data to earn mining reward, and have a public IP address. And most importantly, this is a very decentralized network. As a team, we only own and run less than 1% of all these nodes. The rest are all run and managed by community. So by far, it is the world's largest blockchain network in terms of the number of consensus nodes. So here is a live map of the nodes globally, and it's a little bit outdated. Currently, we have more nodes than this. So the NKN full consensus node is very lightweighted. It only consumes tiny amount of CPU and RAM. This is thanks to our extremely scalable consensus algorithm, the majority votes that are automata, or also known as MOCA. So it is inspired by Dr. Stephen Wolfram's new kind of science, which is, by the way, how we got our project name. So the idea is to use neighbor-only communication to reach global consensus. As a result, it can achieve logarithm complexity with respect to the number of nodes in the network. It means that consensus algorithm is extremely scalable. So the current NKN code without any modification can scale to billions of nodes easily without any problem or eating up like notable resources. So on the off-chain part, the NKN network is a decentralized data transmission network. So basically, when an NKN client wants to send some data to another NKN client, they both connected to the NKN node network and ask the node to relay the data for them. So typically, because the data will only go through one or a few nodes in the network. So that means the more nodes we have in the network, the more data it can transmit at the same time, or technically called the higher aggregated throughput it has. So that means the more nodes, the better, the more powerful the network. That's why we care about how large the network is. And that's one of the most beautiful things about the off-chain system. So we have NKN network can do off-chain data transmission. It also has on-chain transaction part. They both are important components of the system. So the off-chain, by relaying data off-chain, the miner can use proof of relay to earn mining reward, or use NanoPay to get payment directly from users through the payment channel. And on the other side, the on-chain transaction provide some of the core functions to the off-chain data transmission, such as subscribe and the PubSub, and also the name service. So far, we have been talking about the blockchain infrastructure, which is the technology foundation and the infrastructure of the system, or we call it NKN 1.0. But this is not enough. We actually want to go further, to go beyond blockchain, to expand to real-world use case and ramping up commercial revenue. Because as we know, the world outside blockchain is much, much larger and has a great market. So that's why we come up with something called NKN2.0. So you can think of it as we provide network as a service for everyone, every company, not just the blockchain world or decentralized world, but every company who needs communication. So if you think of the NKN 2.0 as like a tree, the root is definitely our crowdsourced node and network, which is a foundation of everything else. Above that, we can provide the network as a service, with the trunk of the tree. And on top of that, we have our branches, which is the dataRide and nCDN platform services that we will talk next. And outside, we have the fruit, which is the end user can use applications like the DChat and mobile or something else. They may not even realize it has NKN in it, but it's usable directly. It's directly accessible to end users. So dataRide is one of the core services that NKN provides. So it is a decentralized communication suite. You can think of it as Uber for client-to-client communication. So basically, when a client wants to send some or receive some data from another client, they don't need to build their own server and do all those kind of work and pay for those service, pay for those VPS. So now they just to embed NKN SDK inside their client, and now their client can send and receive data, communicate with other clients very smoothly, very fast, and very reliably. So there are a few advantages of using dataRide. The first is performance. So because we are able to aggregate multiple concurrent paths, where it is able to get a much higher throughput than just default route or using the single path connection. And also the reliability. So there are over 20,000 nodes in the network, but they are all running the same code. There's no single one that is more important or less important than other nodes. So there's absolutely no single point of failure. This is one of the great advantages as being a decentralized system. And also the data sent through dataRide is very private and secure because we use like a same public key as decentralized identity, and we use it for both routing and encryption. So that means all the data sent through dataRide is end-to-end encrypted, and there's absolutely no third party in the world that can decrypt or modify the data sent through dataRide. So dataRide can be used in a lot of use cases as long as the communication is needed. So one of the core features of dataRide is multi-path aggregation. So when the NKN client wants to send some data to another NKN client, he can ask multiple different nodes to relay the data for them and for him. And the data will be relayed and go through multiple independent and different paths. And typically when you in the internet, the bandwidth bottleneck is neither on the sender side nor on the receiver side, but it's something in the middle. So by utilizing multiple independent and concurrent paths, we can get a much higher bandwidth or aggregated throughput than just using one of them. And the sender can also choose to send duplicate data among all these different paths to greatly enhance the reliability or lower the latency. So a lot of different applications can be built on top of dataRide. Here are a few early examples. For example, the N-Mobile or the DChat is a decentralized instant messenger using NKN to send and receive message. And it's very fast and secure, and we use it internally for our discussion and communication. NFTP is a decentralized web app that lets you send and receive data without any server security. And nShell is a browser plugin that lets you to control your node, even if the node does not have a public IP address or does not have any port open. We are already using it for all our nodes management. And dataRide is still pretty young, and we are say its community growing, and we will see more applications coming in the future.
So we've got about a minute or so left.
Okay. Another important service we provide is a CDN, the content delivery network. Because NKN has so many points of presence in worldwide, it is very suitable for a CDN. So we have a self-service portal that's for individual users to try it out, and also for commercial and enterprise users. We have signed quite a few commercial contracts. The most well-known one is iQIYI, one of China's most largest video content provider with over 100 million subscribers. We have been one of the CDN providers for quite a few months, and the traffic is ramping up pretty fast. So far we have been talking about the service that NKN can provide, but also this cannot be done without the help of miners. So we are also releasing the NKN-Commercial, which is all-in-one mining software, but the miner can run a full node in it and a few different other services that can earn you NKN tokens. So we are at the end of the presentation, and here is a brief summary. So we have been talking about NKN 1.0 or the blockchain infrastructure. It has a very scalable consensus algorithm and decentralized data transmission network as off-chain functions, and use proof of relay and nanopay to get the tokens. And also we have NKN 2.0, which provide networks as a service to beyond the blockchain. Two important platforms we provide is dataRide and nCDN. For end users, people can start to use dataRide and nCDN power applications now. And for developers, they can use dataRide and nCDN to build their own applications. And for miners, we have the all-in-one mining software, NKN-Commercial, that lets you run all these services in addition to just mining the NKN token. And that's it. Thanks everyone for your time.